All right, joining us now from The Athletic, it is the one, it is the only, it is at one point would have been a potential co-host, but he had to go run to Philadelphia. It is Tony Jones. TJ, how are you, man?
I'm like a reverse Fresh Prince. I run to Philadelphia, not away from Philadelphia.
Yeah, a playground fight. And, okay, look, we got to clean the air here, or clear the air here. You're blaming a T-shirt, and it's just between you and me. It's just you and me listening. You're blaming a T-shirt cannon for breaking your computer. Let's be honest. That was a fit of anger, wasn't it?
Okay, so I'm going to answer this. But now that we had the actual playground fight on, I'm going to give you some Tony Jones trivia.
Okay.
Not Tony Jones trivia. I'm going to give you a little-known Tony Jones fact. Are you ready for this?
Yep, hit me.
The exact playground that Will Smith got into the fight on is not in West Philly. It's actually in Center City. And it was actually 2 or 3 blocks away from where I lived in Center City. And, you ready for this?
Yeah.
I got into a fight on that playground.
Oh, nice.
My junior year of high school, Roman Catholic, which this is also funny. This playground, this neighborhood was Spanish. It wasn't black. My junior year of high school, Roman Catholic, me and a couple of 3 or 4 of the other Roman Catholic
up to no good
players, we went and we played pickup ball at that playground against those guys, and we beat those guys so bad, which wasn't the problem. The problem was my mouth.
Yeah, I can see that.
While we were beating, I was just it was really kind of crazy, and then we turned around and there were 40 of them.
Oh.
There were 40, Scott, there were 40 of them. And the next thing I heard was somebody punched me in the face. And the next thing I heard was, don't let them out.
Oh.
So I, that day, turned from a basketball star into a track star.
And you don't need to outrun. You don't need to outrun the crew. You just got to outrun your teammate.
I just listen. It was every man for themselves at that point. And I will say this: everybody who was there is still alive, so that's good.
So I got to imagine your time at that court was limited to that one time.
We never went back.
Yep.
But every time I see Aaron Wessel and you see the court, and I'm just like, yeah, that court's no joke.
That is funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think it really softened your voice, because you like to mix it up with everybody, and that's why I love chatting with you, because you and I can argue over anything, and it's one of the funnest things on the planet is to get you riled up and get you fired up. But honestly, this vitriol coming towards the Utah Jazz, Tony, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's crap.
It's straight crap, right?
It's crap, and I'll tell you what it is. It's Oklahoma City going through back channels to try to put pressure on the Jazz to play the season out in order for them to get the pick.
Wow.
That's what it is.
Interesting.
So it's OKC going through back channels, planting stories in order to pressure the Jazz into playing the season.
Well, the Jazz responded by saying, all right, you want us to play your games? Jaren Jackson's out for the year.
Yeah, pretty much. The Jazz are going to do whatever they have to do to keep the pick.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, just from being around here, I'm in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
for being in Salt Lake for the last 36 hours, I don't think they care one bit what people were thinking of them.
Yeah. It's just the weird, okay, so this has been going on for decades. And the fact that people are upset about this is the way, okay, I don't know if there's some code among thieves that there's a tanking the right way to, rule book. You can do this, but don't you dare do this. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's hilarious because, the Jaren Jackson thing is real. And they, it's an actual thing. It's an actual condition, and it's not life-threatening or you can play with it, but every single doctor is going to tell you, like, all right, you can play with this, but we really recommend that you take care of this right now. It's a tumor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even if it's benign, it's still a tumor. I don't want a benign tumor in my body if I can take it out.
Yeah.
So no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm just kind of curious on the timeline on that. Did the Jazz know on the trade, or is this something that popped up afterwards?
It popped up afterwards. I will say that there was sentiment to not let him play at all. But Jaren wanted to play because he wanted to play in front of the home fans before the surgery. So it was kind of that. But the irony of this is, let's take out Lowry marketing because that part is what it is. But everybody who was, taking to Twitter, taking to social media, oh my God, they're sitting Jaren Jackson in the fourth quarter. Jaren Jackson was on a 25-minute restriction. All three of those games. So I think the unintended or intended benefit, if you're the Jazz, is, yeah, we might lose these games, except for they went 2-1 in those games. But he was on a minutes restriction. He wasn't going to play in the fourth quarter if, these guys were San Antonio.
Let's look ahead. Let's look ahead to next year. And so you've got a starting five potentially of Walker, Kessler. And I want to ask you about Walker here in a bit. Let's just assume for the sake of this argument that Walker's back. And then you've got Jaren Jackson at the 4. You got Lowry at the 3. You got Ace Bailey at the 2. And you got Keonte George at the 1. That's a monstrous lineup. How much does that help you defensively?
Well, it helps you because you have 3 7-footers on the floor. And, if you're that big, and you have that many guys on the floor that are 7 feet and that big, you're going to shrink the floor. So, just by definition, there's going to be less space on the floor for other teams because you got 3 7-footers on it. Now, the benefit of that is, along with those 7-footers, they can all walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. Those guys can move. So you don't have, 7-foot stiffs out there. You got 3 7-foot athletes out there. So, that's what's going to make it really tough. And then, Walker Kessler is one of the best 5 rim protectors in the league, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the best 10 rim protectors in the league. So, the weakness is, Lowry's going to have to guard some of the dynamic, small forwards in the league. Of the league, he's going to have to guard like maybe the Jaylen Browns of the league and the Jason Tatums of the league, things like that. Kevin Durant, things like that. But in terms of being able to shrink the floor, it's one of the things that made the Houston Rockets really difficult to deal with because they were putting, Kevin Durant on the floor and Alfred Sengun and Steven Adams on the floor. So, if you get one of those 3 in spacing by themselves, you could take advantage of them. But when Steven Adams and Sengun is on the floor, there's no space to take advantage of. So I think that can be the Jazz on steroids because not only you have those guys, doing that on defense. But, Lauri Markkanen is one of the true three-level scorers in this game offensively, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is not far behind. So you have two 7-footers who offensively can just kind of wreck you, and they're on the same team. So if I were the Jazz, I'd try to get more passing on the roster. I'd try to use the cap space that I'm going to have this summer to get more veterans on the roster who can really help. But I'm really bullish on how good they can be next year. I think they can be a top 4 Western Conference team next year.
When you look at Walker Kessler as a restricted free agent, it only takes one GM to set the market for a player. Everybody keeps talking about the $25 million per range. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody gave him 30 plus. Coming off that injury, what do you think the market bears for him?
So I think that the two sides are about $7 million apart. I think the Jazz want to keep this in the $25 million range. I think Walker's people want around 32. I think ideally on both sides, they figure out a way to come to meet in the middle. I think that the Jazz are going to match any offer that he gets. So if he goes to, the Los Angeles Lakers and gets a $35 million offer sheet, I think the Jazz are going to suck it up and match it. Simply because, the Jazz have turned down, major offers for Walker, multiple major offers, and not just this year, over last year. I personally know a team, I know of a team at the draft last year who offered the Jazz a lottery pick for Walker Kessler, and the Jazz said no. And there's obviously the reported interest of Indiana. There was a team that offered 2 drafts ago, one unprotected first-round pick and one protected first-round pick. So there have been teams that have been trying to pry Walker away from the Jazz for over the course of multiple years. So, if you're the Jazz, you can't turn back now. You can't turn down all of these offers and then not protect the assets. So, I think somebody can offer whatever, and I think the Jazz are just going to go ahead and match it. But ideally, I think, if you're the Jazz, because there is some consternation here, there is some tension here between both sides. And Walker's people are not happy with the Jazz. This is all true. So I think if you're the Jazz, I think it would be prudent enough to figure out a number that placates both sides. Maybe it doesn't have to be the number that Walker's people want, but at least it has to be a number that makes Walker's people feel respected for what Walker does and for what Walker brings to the table. So that they'll figure that part out during the summer. But I think that's going to be a major challenge for the Jazz, and I think is going to be a challenge for Walker's people to figure out what they want to accept and how they want to proceed with whatever the Jazz bring to the table.
The great Tony Jones joining us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The acceleration on the career path of Keonte George, did that allow the Jazz to be a little bit more aggressive than maybe they would have been otherwise?
Yeah, because now you got a borderline all-star point guard, or whatever you want to call Keonte. You have somebody that's one of the better point guards in the league. And guess what? You have to pay him this summer, or you have to agree to pay him this summer. And you're going to have to start paying him next summer. and that's probably going to be max money. So guess what? You need to go out and trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. At the trade deadline, because that's going to be your team. So once all of these guys are under contract at the same time, Walker, Keonte, Lowry, Jaren Jackson Jr., that's going to be your team. It's one of the reasons why the Jazz are so bent on keeping this pick, because the pick is probably the last shot at adding a fifth guy that's going to be good. So if you keep the pick and you get really lucky and you get Darren Peterson or AJ DeBanza, then guess what? You have a championship level core. And if you get, if you are in the sixth spot in the lottery and you get the sixth or the seventh pick, you can still get somebody who is really has a chance to be good, because this draft is maybe the best draft that I have seen since LeBron James's draft, and that's 2003. So it's the Jazz just have to keep the pick. Whatever comes their way, whatever backlash comes their way, they're just going to have to deal with it, and they're going to have to keep the pick. It's one of the reasons why at this point, they just don't care with what the narrative is and what the national, what the national people are talking about, because, it's not going to affect how they proceed. They're going to go ahead and figure out a way to keep the pick, or try to figure out a way to keep the pick.
So you're Austin Ainge, and the Jazz have the number one pick overall. Knowing what you need and knowing what you want for your team, who are you picking number one overall?
Oh, Darren Peterson.
You worried a little bit about what's going on with him at Kansas?
No, not at all. You know what's going on? To me, it's obvious. It's obvious that he has a camp that just doesn't want him to play basketball in college.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So, if my man gets a hangnail, they're going to sit him out. So that's just obvious what it is. Yeah, the hamstring was real. That part was real. And hamstrings can happen to anything. But my man caught a sniffle and sneezed one time in the layup line and was like, I can't play against Arizona. That's his camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will just go out on a limb and predict that if he sneezes in the layup line in an NBA game, he's going to keep playing.
He's going to be just fine. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, what's best cheesesteak in Philly? Where are you going?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's not those tourist traps like Pat's and Geno's, right?
No. You know what? I'm going to say something. I'm going to go against the grain a little bit. So there's a mob figure named Skinny Joey Merlino.
Nice.
Who opened up a place called Skinny Joey's, which is around the corner from Xfinity Mobile Arena, which is where the Sixers play. And he's got this great cheesesteak. It's phenomenal. Me and the wife went and got in line and waited in line for like an hour in 100-degree heat. And there were these three girls who drove up from Virginia just to get the cheesesteak.
Jeez.
And then they drove back. And, so I'm going to say Skinny Joey's is going to be my go-to for cheesesteak in Philly.
Done and done. If I'm ever out there, you're buying. How about that?
I got you, bro.
I love it. Hey, you're the best, man. Let's keep in touch. And if you get bored, come back. I got radio for you.
I got you, my guy. I appreciate you so much, man.
You're the best. It is Tony Jones from The Athletic right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.